Hi, Jennifer. Hi, Vanessa. How are you?
Yeah. Good. How are you?
I'm good. Congratulations on the film. I loved it. I was so happy to watch it because when I saw the trailer and knowing the book, I was like, this is gonna be so good. It did not disappoint. Um,
Thank
you
you.
know, my first question would be, Oliver and Hadley share their top three biggest fears. So I wanted to ask you your three biggest fears as a writer and as a director.
Wow, that's a really good question. Well, Hadley's biggest fears of the book are a lot of my fears: dentists,
Okay.
mayo, small spaces.
Well,
Those
yeah.
those definitely started out with me, and I was happy to see that those all made it into the film. I think, as a writer, it's there's so many fears that you're facing all the time. It's a vulnerable thing to put your thoughts and feelings on the page and to put work out into the world and have people take it in and have their own opinions about it. And I think um, I think one of my biggest fears is just always of not living up to my own expectations of the work, and trying not to get in my own way as I'm writing, and not to worry about it too much as the process goes on, and just write. And I always say, you can't edit a blank page. You just write and you fix it later, and you keep figuring it out as you go. So just keep going.
I mean, as a person, I would say that my fears are like Oliver's. I'm pretty fearful of cancer, heartbreak, and germs.
Fair.
But I'm not a big fan of flying either. But I mean, look, I think Jennifer's absolutely right. I think writing is so much more exposing than directing. And I've been writing for the last 2 years, and I feel like there's so much more intense fear that I feel around that than I do when I'm on set, because it's sort of like, I guess being a director feels more like being a midwife. So you don't want to hurt the baby. You want the baby to come out safe and well and happy. But
I love the comparison. Yeah.
But like the giving birth is way scarier, I think. So yeah.
Jamila is like the godmother of time, the symbol of fate, of destiny. Have you ever felt like, I mean, while it wasn't in the form of Jamil, something pushed you to go a certain path in your life, some kind of, I don't know, some kind of presence, like a voice, something you could feel in your guts telling you, yes, this is the right path?
Absolutely. This is why I'm so drawn to writing about these moments of time where it splits time, where your life was one way before it happens and another way afterwards. And I actually sometimes think about it too much, where I think, okay, well, if I cross the street right now, or if I wait for the next light, like, are things going to be different from here? And you can really get in your own head about all these things that are similar to missing your flight by 4 minutes, and how that can change the course of things. So it's something I've always just been very interested in exploring.
Yeah, I mean, I think that synchronicity is like such a major aspect of the way my life has unfolded, and I'm almost looking for them too much in a way. But there was a big turning point in my life where I did a book called The Artist's Way, and it had this like section in it where you had to draw your ideal environment, and I drew this city by the sea, and then the next day I saw all these like signs like this of Sydney, and there was like all these different things, and then I went there and I became a director, and I met my husband, and it was all like meant to be.
Well, that's amazing. That's what destiny is like, I think. Yeah, absolutely. Literature and Dickens and Shakespeare in particular are a big part of the story. You are stuck at the airport. You missed your flight. What book or what author do you have in your bag?
I mean, I'm genuinely kind of a Dickens nerd, which is why that was a part of the book, and I was so thrilled that it made it into the movie. I studied Dickens quite a lot in college and graduate school, and love those stories. But now probably I would go with something a little bit lighter for flights. I try to read widely. I love a rom-com. I love a romance. I love stories that are sad and sweet and full of heart, and live with a feeling of hope.
Dickens is a bit intense for a flight. I agree. Vanessa?
It's just heavy, right?
Yeah, it's kind of heavy, yeah.
the same actually. I think on a flight I would get something like the Rosie Project or Lessons in Chemistry, something like that. That's just sort of feels light and funny and kind of heartwarming. Otherwise, I'll have a really dry spiritual text. That's not joyful read.
You need something to help you pass the time in case you don't sit next to somebody like Ben Hardy.
Oh, you know, I love how Hadley is supposedly always, well, very often late, but this time her mistake led her to leave the most beautiful story of her life, probably. Has life ever been that way for you, where at some point where you have been in that case where something unexpected happens because of yourself, in a way, because of a mistake you made, but instead of being an inconvenience, like being super late to your dad's wedding, it led to something beautiful, unexpected, you know?
I mean, I think these sort of sliding doors moments happen every day in life. I've had a really a significant example of that was when I was in a very major earthquake in Christchurch, New Zealand, and we were supposed to go to tour the cathedral, and we ended up having lunch instead, and it was a kind of a conversation, and then the cathedral collapsed during the earthquake, and we would have been in there. And you think back on all these little decisions you make, and this is what I mean, where you can sort of obsess over it too much, but how, you know, just picking one road instead of the other can have ripple effects that lead your life into a whole different direction. And I find it endlessly fascinating to explore these kinds of things.
I can't think of it. I mean, I definitely have loads of examples like that, but I can't think of one right now.
No, it's a question. But oh my God, Jennifer, I'm so glad you took your lunch instead.
I know, it's just all these little, like, it's just all these things that you almost feel breathless looking back at how it could have gone a slightly different way. And that's obviously a very extreme example, but you know, you make, you know, you do something one day that's a little different than you do every other day, and you meet the person you're supposed to meet, or it leads you on a path to do the thing you're supposed to do. And I think there's something so hopeful about it, and that you know, you'd like to just think the universe has got a plan,
has got a hand on his shoulder, in a way.
Yeah, fate, destiny, serendipity, all these things.
Absolutely, I've got some very intense examples for myself as well. So yeah, that's absolutely destiny, I think, I hope. But I'm so glad you went to lunch instead. I have to wrap. They're giving me the wrap. But thank you so much for joining me today. I love the film so much. I love the book. It's just like a warm hug, honestly.
Well, that's the best compliment.
It really is.
That's so nice to hear. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye. I hope to see you soon again.
Thank you.